good morning, everyone. How are you feeling today? I hope you're doing well and enjoying your holiday. So, today we have a very interesting topic, which is the active and the passive voice. Let's see what is an active and passive voice. But first of all, you need to know what are the objectives of these lessons. So, by the end of these lessons, we need you to be able to define what voices of a verb are. Also, to differentiate the active voice from the passive voice. Thus, convert an active sentence to a passive sentence. And the last one is to be able to convert a passive sentence into an active one. Okay, so now, what do we mean when we say voices of a verb? In grammar, the voices of a verb are defined as the quality of a verb that indicates whether its subject acts or is acted upon. It has two types, which are the active voice and the passive voice. Now, if I ask you what is an active voice, what would be your answer? Probably it will be this one. The active voice, in the active voice, the object receives the action of the verb. Let's look at this example. Marilyn mailed the letter. Who is the subject? Marilyn. What is the action verb? Mail the letter. So in this sentence, the letter is the object, and the object receives the action. Clear? Okay. Now, let's look at other examples. The dog jumped onto the boy. So the dog is the subject. The dog is doing the jumping. Onto who? The object. The object is the boy. Okay? Let's look at the other example. Christy will give a book report to the class. Who is the subject? Christy, of course. And what is she doing? She's doing the giving. Okay? And who is receiving the giving? The class. Okay? So the class is the object. Now, let's see how we can convert the active to passive. Step number 1. You move the active sentence direct object into the sentence subject slot. Example, Marilyn mailed the letter. The direct object is the letter. And when you turn it into passive, the letter will become the subject. And Marilyn will become the object. It's as simple as that. Okay? Now, let's look at this one now. How we can interfere or we can change the sentence. Place the active sentence's subject into a phrase beginning with the preposition by. Look, Marilyn mailed the letter. The letter is mailed by Marilyn. Okay? So you see, you reverse the object of the active, which becomes the subject of the passive, and the subject of the active becomes the object of the passive, and it is always introduced by the agent by. Okay? You will understand later when we give you more examples. Now, look, here we have, what tense do we have here in this sentence? We have past simple, okay? So when you have past simple, you change the sentence in the passive, but the tense doesn't change. You always have the same tense, okay? So here you will have also past simple, but in the passive form. So it's to be in the past plus the past participle of the verb, the main verb, okay? Example, the letter was mailed by Marilyn. Now, what is the passive voice? The passive voice is less usual. Mainly we use it writing, not in speaking. So in the passive voice, the subject receives the action of the verb. Okay? We use the passive voice when we want to make an active object more important. Example, the letter was mailed by Marilyn. Okay? The letter was mailed by Marilyn. So the object is more important in this sentence than the subject. Okay? Here. Now, let's look at the examples. The boy was jumped on by the dog. Who is the subject? The boy. Was being jumped on, verb, by the dog, object. So here you see the object is more important than the subject. Okay? And here let's look. A book report will be given by Christy to the class. Okay? So look at here. We have future tense. Don't worry. It's a bit confusing, but you will get the board in the next slide. You will understand how we make the tense change here. Okay? Just pay attention that the object is more important in the passive than the subject. Okay? Now, how can we convert a passive sentence to active? Here we have some examples, or one example to make you understand this. Move the passive sentence's subject into the active sentence direct object slot. Okay? Now, look at this example. The letter was mailed by Marilyn. Okay? You remember in the passive that the object is more important, but in the active, the subject is more important. Okay? Now look, what you're going to do is just to switch the subject, Marilyn, here in the active, and the letter will become the object. Okay? So what will we have? We will have Marilyn mailed the letter. Instead of the letter was mailed by Marilyn. Okay? Very good. Now, look at this board. You have all the possible changes you can have when you use passive form. Okay? Here you have the infinitive form, present, past, future, conditional, present again. If you have continuous, you have present, past, future, conditional. You can read these examples and try to practice changing an active sentence to a passive sentence. Example, let's pick one here on the board. Let's pick the future simple here. Okay? It will be washed. What will be washed? Something. You can add any object here. Okay? Has to practice. Now, I would like you to copy this link on your browser and open. You will find a video, very interesting video, where you can practice the active and the passive form. Okay? You just need to click on the link and copy paste so you can see the activities. And if you need further or more activities, you can just go to your book and find the passive unit so you can have more exercise to do.